Have you ever wondered, what exactly does the soul experience in the final moments before death? Does the soul really leave behind a last message? Every religion, every philosophy, every mystic has tried to answer this question, but the mystery remains unsolved. Osho once said, "Death is not the end, it is a doorway." And before crossing that doorway, the soul tries to communicate. The real question is, are we able to understand those signals? Imagine this. A loved one is lying before you, their breath slowing down, their eyes half open, and suddenly they smile or whisper strange words you cannot understand. Most people say they were just murmuring in confusion. But Osho says, this is not random murmuring, it is the soul's final message. So, does the soul truly speak before it departs? In today's video, we are going to dive deep into this hidden mystery. Have you ever wondered what exactly the soul experiences in the final moments before death? And even more mysterious, does the soul leave behind a last message? This question is so profound, so haunting, that the entire history of human civilization has revolved around it. Every religion, every philosophy, every sage and saint has tried to answer it in their own way. Yet, as Osho once said, death is not the end. It is the doorway to a greater mystery. And before crossing that threshold, the soul whispers a message. It gives signs, it communicates, not in words, but in symbols, in feelings, in silent gestures that only the attentive can perceive. Think about it. When a person is dying, the body is shutting down. The eyes close, the breath comes in broken waves, the heartbeat slows. But at that exact moment, the soul is alive with awareness. Osho tells us that before death, the soul watches its entire life flash before its inner eyes, a movie of everything it has lived. Every joy, every mistake, every unfulfilled dream, every act of love, every moment of pain. It all races by in a single instant. And in that moment, the soul longs to leave behind a final message. But here's the secret. The soul doesn't speak in language. It speaks in signs. Sometimes that message comes in a dream. Sometimes as an unexplainable heaviness in the atmosphere. Sometimes it comes as a strange pull, an unseen presence, or a whisper in the silence of the night. Often, the dying person will suddenly say, "My mother is calling me," or "I see a light." People dismiss it as delirium, But Osho says it is not nonsense, it is communication. The soul is trying to speak. He explains that the soul passes through 3 stages before leaving the body. First, it remembers every unfinished task. Second, it comes face to face with its deepest fear. And third, it gives a sign of where it is going, as if pointing toward its true home. It is in this third stage that the last message emerges. Now imagine this. You are sitting next to a loved one who is dying. Suddenly, they smile in a strange way, or they mutter words you cannot understand. Families often say, "The elder started mumbling before death." But according to Osho, that is not meaningless. That is the final message of the soul. The tragedy is that most people don't know how to listen. They drown in fear, in grief, in panic, and they miss the message completely. Because the soul does not use words, it communicates through symbols, feelings, and energies. Sometimes a family member will have a dream that the person is leaving, and the very next day, death comes. Sometimes the room itself changes. The air becomes heavy, a clock suddenly stops, a candle flickers out, an animal cries in a strange way. These are not coincidences. They are signs, the soul announcing its departure. But why does the soul give a message at all? Osho's answer is shocking. The soul does not speak to give information, but because some attachment still lingers. It is leaving, but the bond is not fully broken. That last message is its final attempt to stay connected. The heartbreaking part is that most of the time, the living never understand it. They only realize later and say, "I wish I had understood his last words." Osho adds another dimension. The soul's last message comes at 3 different levels: the body, the mind, and the consciousness. On the level of the body, you will see the dying person's eyes looking upward, as if seeing something invisible. Sometimes their hands stretch out, as if reaching for someone not present. These are the body's gestures that the soul is leaving. On the level of the mind, the soul communicates through dreams and symbols. People have reported that their loved ones saw bridges, oceans, or gardens in their dreams before death. Osho explains, a bridge means crossing over from this life to the next. A garden represents peace and rest. An ocean means dissolving into the infinite. These are not random. They are the mind translating the soul's journey. But the deepest level is consciousness itself. At this level, the message is not in words or dreams, but in direct experience. You may suddenly feel a touch on your shoulder, a wave of sadness without reason, or wake up at night with tears. The next day, you hear that someone close has died. That is the soul speaking at the level of consciousness. Why do we miss these messages? Because of fear. We are so terrified of death that instead of observing, we close our eyes. Instead of listening, we cry. Instead of being present, we collapse. Osho says that if you are calm, silent, and attentive at the moment of death, you will hear the soul's message clearly. And here lies another secret. The last message of the soul is not only for the family. It is also for itself. In its final breath, the soul asks, "What have I lived? What have I lost? Where am I going now?" Sometimes the dying person speaks these answers aloud. Words like, "Everything is meaningless," or "Finally, I am at peace." These are not ordinary words. They are the summary of the entire journey of a soul. But what if the soul has lived a life of darkness, sin, and ignorance? Then its last message is one of fear. Such souls scream, tremble, and cry, "Save me, don't leave me." Families think it is suffering, but in truth, it is the soul confessing, "I am falling into darkness." On the other hand, a soul that has lived with awareness, love, and compassion dies with a smile. Such people whisper, "Don't be afraid, I am leaving, but this is not the end." And with peace, they depart. Osho beautifully said, "The death of a man who lived in awareness is like a dance." So, does every soul give a message? Yes. Some give a message of love, some of fear, some point toward the light, some toward the dark. The way to know the direction is simple. Look at the face of the dying. If there is a smile, the soul is moving toward light. If there is terror, it is still trapped in darkness. That is why in our traditions, people chant the name of God at the moment of death, to guide the soul toward light. But here is the most powerful insight. The soul's last message is not just about death, it is about life. It teaches the living that death can come at any moment, and that our last message will depend on how we have lived. A soul that lived in love and meditation will leave behind peace. A soul that lived in deceit and violence will leave behind fear. Sometimes the last message comes as a blessing, "I will always be with you." And the family feels strength for years to come. Sometimes it comes as a warning, "Be careful." And soon after, difficulties arrive. Sometimes it is a request, "Complete my unfinished work." That is why rituals like prayers and offerings are done after death, to give peace to the soul. The truth is this: if we learn to listen to these last messages, not only can we help the dying soul move on, but we can also transform our own lives. Because the soul's final whisper reminds us, life is fragile, time is short, and one day, we too will speak our last message. So ask yourself, what will your last message be? Will it be a cry of fear? Or will it be a smile of peace? Osho says, live so deeply, so consciously, that your death becomes a celebration. My friends, this mystery is not just about death. It is the greatest lesson for living. The last message of the soul is not only the voice of the dying, it is a mirror for the living. And if this touched you even a little, then share it, spread it, and remember it. For one day, you too will stand at that doorway. And the question will be, will your soul whisper in fear or sing in joy?